Wonderful to have everybody here today. Welcome. I just want to celebrate, celebrate. I just want to celebrate, celebrate. I just want to celebrate another day of living. I just want to celebrate another day of life. Celebrate. Thomas Berry would want me to say that word celebrate over and over again. So welcome everybody to the 8th annual Flaring Force Celebration of the Universe. Woo! Let's hear it. First time in person since 2019. Wow. So we were really excited to have everyone gathered here as well as on Zoom. And it's going to be a great day. We got wonderful speakers lined up. We got a brand new calendar today, 2025 Universe Story Calendar, as well as a brand new book from Brian and Monica on the story of the Noosphere. So we got a lot to cover, a lot of fun to have, and a lot to learn. And just a little bit for those who might be first or second time. The day came together from this book, The Universe Story, which I've never read hardly, as you can tell, you know. It's part of my practice to read it every month and every week. And so on 2017, November 9th, 2017, was right around the 25th anniversary of the book. So that's when we decided November 9th, Nation Science 9th now, 2017. That was the first thing, along with the promulgation of the first Universe Story calendar to transcend, include, and accurately update the former Gregorian calendar that thinks today is Saturday, when actually it's Solar System Day. So, and then the third was, what's the third thing? What else do we have? Promulgation, and then, oh, what am I forgetting? Our buddy up here. Does anybody know what November 9th is?
His birthday.
His birthday anniversary. 110 this year. So those three things, that's why we came together 8 years ago, Brian and I, and Elizabeth was here, and John. Who else was here at our first gathering in 2017? Anybody else? Okay, so that's a wonderful journey that we've been on, and there's been 8 calendars and other books that people have written. So that's a little bit of the history of why we're here today, and to carry on, how can we continue to share the universe story in any means. There's a wonderful group of people here, and I'm sure online, that are the educators, the tellers, the storytellers of the universe story. And that's what I'm called to do, and I know most of us here are called to do, is to celebrate this awesome story. So today, we're going to have a little ritual celebration and music with Elizabeth in a minute, and then I'm going to give a little presentation based on the new calendar. Then we'll have a break for lunch. And Pierre has provided us with vegetarian and vegan pizza, which will be coming in. And then after that.
And gluten-free.
And gluten-free, yeah, we gotta remember the gluten-free. And then John is a facilitator with Interplay, Body Wisdom. Will get us moving after lunch, you know, after lunch we're kind of, so we'll get us going again. And then Brian and Monica will end the day with their release of their new book. And Brian said this is their first event, right? With the new book.
Wow.
We're here. We're on Zoom. So it's awesome. We're gonna make sure you guys sign my copy, right? So did I forget anything, guys? Sounds about right. So turn it over to Elizabeth. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. It's really great to be here with you and the community. I wanted to thank Tom for organizing this all of these years and bringing us together. We're celebrating Thomas Berry's birthday, Universe Story book, Universe calendar. We're also celebrating the 25th anniversary of the great work by Thomas Berry. And this year, maybe a month or two ago, we have the release of a new book by Brian Brown. It's called Earth's Journey into Hope, Reflections on Thomas Berry's Great Work. So I encourage you to check that out. And also, there is a brand new project that was released yesterday by Sisters of Earth called Children of the Universe. And this is a project that is a collection of books going for free to 50 educators of children age 6 through 13. And it's helping them awaken to their place in the universe. So there is so much to be hopeful for in this moment. I want to take just a moment to acknowledge and to honor the Ohlone people whose land we are on. Speaking of hope, earlier this year in March, some of you probably know, but some of you around the country and the world might not know, we had a major victory. They have received back their sacred site at the West Berkeley Shell Mound. They didn't just receive it, they had to purchase it back. They offered $25 million, and the city of Berkeley offered $1.5 million to purchase back this sacred burial ground that's a couple miles away, Hearst and 4th. Right now it's a parking lot, but now that they have it back, thanks to the Segorite Land Trust headed by Karina Gould, they are going to recreate, or the vision is to recreate a replica of a shell mound. Here in Berkeley, it was the very first shell mound in the Bay Area, the very first settlement of the first people here. And this was a place where they would bury their dead, cover with dirt, shells, more dirt, get bigger and bigger. The shell mound was huge. And they were able to go up on top and look all around and see the whole Bay Area. So the vision is to recreate a shell mound. It would be a huge mound covered with native California poppies, a spiral path leading up to the very top of the shell mound, so that people could look out and see what it might have been like so many centuries ago. In the native cosmology of the Ohlone people, they would bury the dead here at the mouth of Strawberry Creek. Then for 4 days, the spirit of the dead would reside at Alcatraz. And then after those 4 days of ritual, then the spirits would depart out the western gate, where the Golden Gate Bridge is now. So it is, it's just very special that this land has been rematriated back to the Ohlone. And I just wanted to share this in light of hope. And I wanted to share this quote by Ram Dass that I just recently heard. It goes something like this: whether this is the first day of the apocalypse or the first day of the golden age, the work remains the same: to love each other and to ease as much suffering as possible. Another quote that I keep hearing in my mind is from Rumi. This is one of my favorite passages in Rumi. He says, today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't go to the door of the study and begin reading. Pick up a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. So I wanted to share a song, teach you a song. If you like singing, you're welcome to join in. If you don't, you're welcome to listen. And I learned this from Starhawk back in a handful of years ago. It was like this. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Let the beauty we are be what we do. There are hundreds of ways. Kneel and kiss the ground. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways. Kneel and kiss the ground. Let the beauty love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways. Kneel and kiss the ground. Isn't that lovely? I wanted to share another song, teach you another song. This one is an African song that I learned from my friend Claire Lindstrom, someone you are also friends with. I wish I knew which African people have sung this song, what it was about, what it was for. I don't know much of anything about the song, but I do know that it feels very joyful. And I think we need to learn ways to recreate, to re-envision joy in our lives. So I would like to teach you this song. And again, if you like, feel free to sing along. There's a call and response, and you're welcome to just keep singing with me, the call and the response, okay? It goes, Sisi kamalele, Sisi kamalele, Banda bambalele, Banda bambalele, Banda bambalengelenge, Banda bambalengeling, Banda bambalengelenge, Banda bambalengeling. Gonde, gonde, kamalila, oh kamalila, gonde, gonde, kamalila, kamalila, ela, 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 kamalila, ela, 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 oh kamalila, sisi, kamalele, sisi, kamalele. Banda bambalele, banda bambalele, banda bambalengeling, banda bambalengeling, banda bambalengeling, banda bambalengeling. Gonde, gonde, kamalila, kamalila, gonde, gonde, kamalila, kamalila, ela, 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 ela. Oh, come alive, Ella, 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 come alive, come alive, Fiji, come alive, Banda, Babalele, Banda, Babalele, Banda, Bamalengeling, Banda, Bamalengeling, Banda, Bamalengeling, Banda, Bamalengeling. Gonde, gonde, come alive, oh, come alive, gonde, gonde, come alive, come alive, ela, 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 come alive, ela, 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 come alive. Thank you. So we have just a couple more minutes. So I invite you to do a very short ritual. So take your right hand, place it on your heart, left hand on the lower belly, okay? And we'll keep it there just for a couple minutes. Okay? This is a self-soothing practice, cross-cultural. It's practiced in Qigong, but all throughout the world. Anytime you're stressed, anxious, worried, this is a way to help you instantly ground, to sync your chi, your life force, to connect with all beings. So feel the lower belly, Dan Tian. This is a reservoir of chi. Connect the core of your body with the core of the earth. Feel your heart connected with the sun, cosmic energy shining brightly. Feel your love and compassion. So feel earth energy rooting you, grounding you. Feel sky energy lifting you up, connecting you with the stars, our ancestors. Feel earth and sky mixing in you, intertwining. Feel your own chi streaming from the beginning of time, the great flaring forth of cosmic energy. Feel in solidarity with all beings, near, far, those present with us today, ancestors, our future generations. Share your breath, your chi. Let's offer gratitude for being here together. Offer up any merit that we accumulate to be of service to all beings. And as you go throughout the rest of this day, bring this mindfulness, this cosmic energy, earth energy with you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now it's Tom. I invite you to come on up and share your wisdom. I've known Tom since maybe 2017, maybe earlier. And it's just a really big joy to be your friend and to participate in this Flaring Forth celebration. Come on up.
Isn't she great? Isn't she great? One to celebrate. I mean, that's all I can say. No. So, like I said, this is the 8th year that we've had the Story of the Universe calendar celebration. And this is the new one, hot off the press this year, and you'll be getting each a copy later. And the theme, which I'm going to be talking about for a little bit here, is the year of the Universe Integralist Process. It's all a process. So hopefully you're going to leave with a little bit of an idea of how you, if you choose to, can become a Universe Integralist. Okay. And this, I'm going to share just a little bit about one particular aspect, because I'm writing a book about this, and so it's, you know, it's part of the process of working your thoughts through and figuring out where you're going with the book. So thank you for being my class today, and I hope you get something out of it, and I'm sure you will. So Universe Integralist, well, first of all, universe, as we know, is our 13.8 billion year unfolding, the Flaring Forth we're celebrating today. But it's also what happened before, which we don't quite know yet, and probably never will, be a mystery of what happened before the primordial Flaring Forth, and what's going to happen in the next moment, the next day, the next year, the next 13.8 billion years out into the future. And that's what I'm going to start with today, is talking about the beautiful concept of death. And then what I'm calling after death, from what I've learned through the universe story and my studies and research, is progeneration. You know, we all know the word progeny, right? Our children are our progeny. Our work can be our progeny, going forward. Because pro is really an important prefix for me. Pro means forth. You know, going forth, going forward. So that's what the universe story is doing right now. That's what we're doing right now. We're going forward. So I'm using the term progeneration, and I'm using the term progeneration after death, and I'm taking it from our physical sciences and our really new, since Thomas Berry's birth, about 110 years ago and more, our psychosocial sciences about the human, about the brain, mind. And this is where Brian and Monica are going to say, hey, this is fitting in perfectly with their book. Because I hope it does, and I hope it fits right in. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about death and progeneration first, and then I'm gonna go back. Okay, instead of like a lot of people say, oh, let's start at the primal flirting forth, and then we'll go into the birth of the Milky Way galaxy and solar system and stuff. No, I'm starting with these two thresholds, okay? So I want to start out with, and don't show the slide like that, okay? I want to start out with a story, a real story that talks about this idea of death and progeneration if we want to become universe integralists. Integralists being people that see the whole, right? That see the all, that are open to all avenues in a holistic way. So I live up in Sonora by Yosemite. Yeah, I know, I'm lucky, I know. We're about an hour and a half away in the foothills. And we have a local paper called the Union Democrat. Still going 5 days a week. It almost shut down, but still going. I really appreciate it, especially for the jumble and the scrabble, you know. But I'm still one of those that does that in the morning with the coffee. I know you guys probably are on your cell phones, but I still like my coffee. But anyway, a story came through one day in the Union Democrat about this 27-year-old woman named Rebecca Gall. And she lives in Modesto, which is about an hour away, and drives up to Tuolumne County to the social services department and to work with people who are in need, you know, and she just love people, loves everything about working for people in need. And one day she was driving back from Sonora to Modesto and had a head-on collision and was instantly killed. But not brain dead. They took her to Modesto to the hospital, and they kept her on life support system till the family could get there, you know, these type of stories. And they were able to, because she had previously lined it up to where if something happened to her, that she would donate her organs. So 4 people able to take, I think it was her heart, her liver, her kidneys, and pancreas. Would that be right? I think those 4. And now there's 4 people today. This is almost 3 years ago. 4 people today that are walking and that are alive because of Rebecca Gall's gift. At 27, she was, and before, she was thinking about how she could progenerate her physical self so that others could live.
It's Chinese medicine oil.
Just so happened tragically.
It's quite stimulating.
And so
Like
that,
the lid doesn't have stray puke hairs of his on it, does it?
It doesn't, because it was a brand new bottle that he bought me last time and I haven't used.
To fully participate herself in her progeneration. How? Well, in progeneration is there's the physical, natural sciences, physical sciences, you know, body, material, chemistry, right? And so that went forward through these, you know, gifts of her organs, and then as well as the rest of her body, but just a beautiful way to share her physical body. And then the psychosocial personality part definitely carried on with those 4 people, right? Definitely carried on with anybody that knew her with the gift that she gave, right? Amazing. She lives on in me, and now she's going to live on in you, psychically, right? She's going to live on in you because I just exposed you. And would you show the picture of Rebecca Gall? There's Rebecca. And what they do at Modesto and probably a lot of other hospitals is before they, you know, after she's declared brain dead, and they're ready to take her to the operating table for the transplants. What they do is the medical staff and the family line the hall that she's going to be taken down into the operating room called the Wall of Honor. And I just about tear up every time I tell that story because it's just so beautiful. To progenerate your physical self for the good of others, and then to progenerate what you've done as a human being to progenerate what other people can do. And since that time, I finished my living will. I finished my healthcare directive, so I can be like Rebecca Gall if I can, if I'm able to. And then also, I signed up to have my body composted. I'm a gardener. I don't know if you guys are gardeners. They nicknamed me at the farm that I was at, the Catholic Worker Farm, they nicknamed me Mr. Compost. Because I love building compost piles. And I know why, because it's life-giving, it's beautiful work. But I did the composting because I look back at my family history on what did my mom and dad and others do as far as their progeneration of their physical body. And when you do your physical body, the psychical comes along with it. So my mom, who died early at 81, she had the traditional embalming, covering her body in chemicals, put in a casket, entombed in a casket, entombed in the ground in a cement vault, entombed in the ground with soil, right? So that was my mom. So she had a kind of traditional burial. Then my grandparents on my dad's side, they were both embalmed, put in a casket, but put into a mausoleum. Everybody know what a mausoleum is? Above ground vaults of niches that you put the whole casket in. Okay, so my grandparents both were put entombed and embalmed and entombed into all these different casings. And then 2 years ago, my dad died. And he had a different process. He decided to be cremated. And so his stepbrother was a carpenter. He made a beautiful wooden urn for him. And the urn was put in what's called, how many people know what a calaborium is? I didn't really know until a couple of years ago. Calaborium. Columbarium. Yeah, that's what I said. It's also above ground, but it's got foot by foot little niches to put the little wooden urn or whatever urn for the cremings in. So most of them are outdoors. They actually have some inside churches I've seen too now. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So my dad had a different, but he was also entombed. And that's kind of the word you hear. People are being entombed. And working with the Universe Story, as well as being a gardener and a composter, Mr. Compost. And then hearing right after Rebecca, during that time, Recompose.life out of Seattle is a composting company. And there are more and more coming now. I don't know if you've heard, they just passed a year ago, I can't remember, AB 357 or whatever, about California in 2027. They're going to be bringing these companies in. And there's like 8 or 9 states around the country that have these laws that are passed so we can compost our bodies. So I did it because of the Universe Story and because of my work with the calendar and everything, because that's the most natural way to have our journeys of our existence, not just our life, our existence go out in the Universe Story, farther than just our death or dualism, we're going up or we're going down. No, the Universe Story is a monism. It's irreversible and unrepeatable, as we know from the Universe Story. So what happens when you compost your body, you end up with like a small pickup bed full of soil. And right now mine will go to, I don't know if you know where this is, Brian or Monica, Bell Mountain Natural Reserve in southern Washington, it's a forest, and so that's where my soil will go. I've already had my celebration of life and existence, so there's no need for funeral. No, I've already celebrated my life because this is what matters to me. So the composting is the progeneration. But with the universe story, it goes the other way. And this is the point I'm trying to make, that I'm still getting my head around, is that where will our soil go? Where will my soil go? Go into the ground, right? Go up into the air, do the chemical things, which I'm not a scientist, I don't know exactly, but it's gonna go forth. It's gonna progenerate for the good of the planet, but also for the good of the universe. Because somehow we'll be in some state, some atomic particle, I don't know what. But when the sun takes over the earth 5 million billion years from now, maybe, or whatever else happens, we don't know the future. Then that's where we'll continue on. This is our existence. Our existence does not end for my work. So that's what I'm trying to help folks to see is start with the end of where are we going? This is the life we have, what we have left. We don't have our generation and our birth. What do we have left? We have our death and our progeneration, right? So that's what we can work on now during this great, awesome life that we've been given. So now I want to share about the other two, because we're living the life right now, average 72.6 years. Okay, we know about that threshold, which I call the five, what do I call them? Threshold episodes of transformation. There's 5 of them. I just talked about 3, life, death, and progeneration. So now we need to talk about generation of the universe, and then the birth of every universe community being. Generation of every universe community being, and then the birth. So let's see. Do you have the video ready? Don't yet. So I want to set up this video for you. It's just a 6-minute video, but it talks about, I love this part. I just love this part, about science telling us, and Brian and Thomas in the book, remember Brian says, if things would have only been a billionth of a billionth of a billionth faster, or a billionth of a billionth slower, there'd be muck that we wouldn't even be here. And I've been doing a lot of research on, we wouldn't be here for a lot of reasons if things didn't go just right. Millions of things didn't go just right. And so it's a great equalizer of the human family if you can get there. That we didn't choose a lot of this stuff through the sciences. We didn't choose even to be here. This song that I wrote about this is called Existence, and I'm a singer-songwriter. So I love a song called Existence. I'll just sing in the first verse. Existence, the greatest singular gift. Existence, explore we must insist. Each universe community being can trace their origin back to this common denominator. Did we choose our parents? Did we choose to be born? Did we choose our place of birth? Did we choose our siblings? Existence, the greatest singular gift. Existence, explore we must insist. Each universe community being can trace their origin back to this common denominator. Back to this common denominator. So let's see what this biologist has to say about this fantastic life that we've been given. Down there. Over here. There, over
Yeah, we're just trying to make it the right side.
Oh, I see. All right. Share audio as well.
Our major reason why we're here today. The first was the asteroid impact 66 billion years ago. So imagine this, a rock 6 miles wide happens to enter the atmosphere and slam into the Yucatan Peninsula. Sort of like a BB hitting the side of a barn, but it turns out, well, the important explanation is that that BB was going 50,000 miles an hour. So it drilled an enormous hole, 120 miles wide in the Yucatan, which blasted massive amounts of material into the atmosphere and beyond. And when that material rained back down, it was like raining trillions of red hot meteors back upon the surface of the earth. And it was probably the temperature of a baking oven. It set off wildfires and the devastation of the plant community, and then all the soot and all of the impact debris that was in the atmosphere blocked out the sun for probably a period of at least say 1 to 3 decades. It was hell on earth. Only a few things squeaked by. Things that burrowed, things that were semi-aquatic, and smaller things, because smaller things are dependent upon less food, and they also have a rapid reproductive rate. Nothing really over about 25 kilograms in size survived on land. What implications does that have for humanity and for the other creatures on Earth? Well, once you sort of took out the big reptiles, that created a lot of opportunity for mammals. And of course, we're mammals and we evolved from primates. But it's pretty easy to imagine how the asteroid didn't necessarily have to happen. So first of all, it's the largest impact we know of on the Earth or the Moon in the last 500 million years. So it's rare. Second of all, could have easily missed the planet. Or third of all, it could have hit somewhere else on the planet. It turns out that geologists think that where it hit really matters. That those rocks on the Yucatan Peninsula contain the right sort of chemical stew, carbonates and sulfates, that when blasted into the atmosphere, contributed to the situation of blocking out the sun and essentially shutting down food production across the planet. And perhaps only 1 to 13% of the Earth's surface contains that mixture of rocks. So if this asteroid had entered, half an hour earlier or half an hour later and hit, for example, in the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean and missed the Yucatan, well, dinosaurs might still be here. Everything else alive at that time, or at least most of those groups might still be here. Mammals would still be a minor group, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So that's one thing that had to go right. And it's a random collision of a big rock with an enormous rock that happened 66 million years ago. The second big collision, I think this is, and most people have heard the story of the asteroid, but the second big collision people don't really know about. And that is the collision that set in motion the Ice Age. About 65 million years ago, the tectonic plate of the Indian subcontinent was below the equator, down near Madagascar. And it was zipping northward relative to the other plates and slammed in to the Asian continent. And that started building, for example, the Himalaya. And that rock building, what that does, when rock is exposed on the surface of the planet, that rock actually draws carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. And that process has, over the millions and millions of years, eventually drawn enough CO2 out of the atmosphere to get CO2 levels low enough to tip us into this ice age. You might say, well, wow, how did that collision sort of change the world? It's during the early and middle part of that ice age that our brains expanded threefold in size. Now, this is remarkable. The ice age was sort of the test. It was this very challenging conditions out of which a line of apes emerged, big brain, tool making, habitat making, complex behaving apes, and those are our ancestors. So we really have the ice age to thank for our existence, and we have the Indian subcontinent's collision with Asia to thank for the ice age. I think we should all feel very lucky to be here. First, as a species, for the reasons of understanding that things on the planet could have gone very different. The asteroid, the ice ages, etc. But as individuals, as we've learned more about human biology, we understand really how lucky we are. Picture, a spherical object surrounded by lots and lots of, meteors, and there's an impact of just one, and then there's big chemical changes. Well, it turns out, I'm not describing the asteroid impact, I'm describing fertilization of an egg by a sperm. In human fertilization, there's about 100 million sperm on average. And those 100 million sperm are carrying all sorts of genetic combinations from the father. And that one individual egg is carrying one out of about 8 million different genetic combinations from the mother. So when that one lucky sperm makes it and combines with that one egg at that moment, that's about a 1 in 70 trillion event, genetically speaking. Furthermore, there are individual mutations in every sperm and in every egg, randomly distributed in DNA. Mutations that didn't exist in mom, didn't exist in dad, and wouldn't exist by chance, really, in any sibling. So the genetic recipe is getting mixed up in every generation on an astronomical scale. So yeah, you are truly genetically unique. And there will never, ever, ever be anyone like you ever again on the planet or ever before. And so, yeah, I think we should feel fortunate that we are individually here.
Hey, thinkers, have you ever found yourself in this scenario? A news story breaks and you want to stay updated and understand what just happened.
I told her where to
But every
stop.
source you
Yay. So you can see some of my excitement, and before I found this video, there were other videos that said not just 1 in 70 trillion, but 1 in, I forget what it was, 2,685,000 to the 10th power, whatever it was. It's amazing, like you said, how fortunate, how fantastic it is that we are here. And then I would add that we are all born at the same time, so we could be here together, Could have been our ancestors, could have been somebody else. But I just love that idea of the knowing through biology today that just one sperm, it would have been a different sperm, you wouldn't be here. And the odds of that are it's just fantastic. Thank goodness for the sciences. So that part I wanted to show about not just the threshold of birth, but also going back to the threshold of our fertilization. Fertilization, conception, and then the 9-month gestation that we have. So that's another one of the thresholds. And then the first threshold is, once again, like Brian and Thomas wrote about in the Universe story, what I call generation, for the generativity of the universe going forward, bringing us all the universe community beings from the first primordial atomic particles to, stars and galaxies and solar systems and suns and planets like Earth and planet satellites like our moon. And it takes a lot to see that unfolding over those 13.8 billion years or whatever it was for each universe community being. So that brings me to the next slide, so I can show you the whole, what I call existence sequence spectrum. It's going to be kind of small, but I'll be able to show you. So there's 5 what I call TETs, threshold episodes of transform mutation, transform for the material, and mutation for the cyclical. So anyway, so there's 4 categories, and once again, this is what I see as part of becoming Universe Integralist process. Becoming a Universe Integralist, I would say you would need to know. Oh, good. Hey, look at that. You need to know the universe community of beings, the earth community of beings, the human community of beings, and then the individual human beings. Okay, so I take it before the primordial flowing forth. Look at this. Oh my God. Ask and you shall receive. All of the past experience is what comes before the generation of the universe or the primordial flowing forth. Oh, and by the way, Brian, did you know, Fred Hoyle came up with Big Bang? And it was a joke, but it stayed. I don't use it, it's the primordial flowing forth. How many people say it's a primordial flowing forth instead of the Big Bang? Nobody? All right. But people don't know that, it was a joke, and it stuck.
He is also.
Dumb things.
He was against it.
Yeah.
Trying to put it down. No.
So anyway, so the generation of the primordial flowing forth is what I use. But the past existence is what's unknown as of today. We don't know, we have some simulations of what happened before the primordial flaring forth, but it is unknown. As of today. And that's what I say as the overall cosmos. For me, I use universe more because universe is what's known. 13.8 billion years to the day. Okay, so that's why I put cosmos up there because it is the overall context that's unknown, but known as of today, which will change. As my song, as of today, all has changed since yesterday says. So the first threshold episode of transformation is the generation of all universe community beings. And you can see the different categories, okay? So the generation of the universe, when it started, the birth of the universe happened 30.8 billion years ago. The life of the universe is up until right now, right? And then we'll go as far as we know, who knows? 100 trillion years, we go to the last star, we don't know. Last star dies, and then pro-generation, we just don't know. And then the future existence, we don't know, okay? That makes sense? Okay, so we go back up to, so that's the universe community of beings, and that's every universe community being from the smallest primordial atomic particle to the whole universe or cosmos or whatever you want to say. And in the Earth community of beings, we also need to know when they generated. Well, they generated at the same time. Everything generated at the primordial flowing forth, as far as we know as of today. Once again, I'm not a scientist, but I study universe for a while. So the Earth community of beings all started 13.8 billion years ago. We're part of that. The birth of the Earth is right around 4.57. The life 4.57 to today, and then probably we don't know exactly, but some simulations. That's what simulation is a big word, an important word. Says 5 to 7 billion years the sun will die and take up the Earth. And same with that'd be the death. And then pro-generation, once again, we think, the physical form is, the Earth is going to continue on in existence. We don't know of non-existence yet. And that's a big part of it for me, is realizing that this is all part of the existence sequence spectrum, okay? And then the human community beings, all 8.11 billion of us, if we could go back. Past existence unknown, the threshold episodes, physical. This is the huge part for me. Thank you, Brian and Thomas. Putting in the psychical. If we're here today as psychical beings as well as physical, our atomic particles, we don't know exactly what we were then, but they were there. And then our birth up to around 7 million years ago, depending on what, hominid or genus or phyla, whichever one you use. I'm just saying up 7 million years ago in Africa. and then the life, 7 million years ago to today, and then some people, Nancy Abrams says 430 million years future, and it's all over the place, we don't know, right? But it's into the future sometime, it could be 100 years from now, we don't know. And the death, we don't know that either. Our whole species, but climate change, close to the sun, we don't know. And then the progeneration of our human community of beings. Well, physically, our material will go forth in the universe story, and psychically, we don't know. We don't know. And then future existence, we don't know. And then the final one, which deals with us as individual human beings, as Universe Integralist people, same type of thing as your date of birth, your individual date of birth, your life from birth to death. Your death, as I said, progeneration of your body and personality. So what I'd like to do at this moment, after getting all this information and seeing the video, I'd like for you just to turn to a neighbor, just one person, and do a little dyad and say what kind of stuck out for you, whether it's this, you can just leave this up here. Something from the video, something from this. What's kind of tickling your fancy right now? So if you just turn to a neighbor.
Hi.
How you guys doing? You going okay? So I only have the definition, so I'll write to that, to this. And then just the picture of the calendar. Where's here? Oh, here. Oh, shoot. Well, they can just take a minute to reflect. Want to pass out the calendars for me at the appropriate time? Or you both need to be on? Okay, make sure that everyone's had a chance to share each person, because we're gonna keep going here.
Is but it's like physically moving people around. Whatever, they get the ring on. They'll be there, but
It opens up our cosmic beliefs.
Okay, if you would come back together, please. I know it wasn't enough time, but we're getting close to lunch and want to stay on schedule.
Do you have time for a project?
No. Can we ask me at lunch? That was part of the idea of lunch, was to continue the conversation, because we got material to go, but thank you. Yeah, so I'd love to share. So thank your partner somehow, whatever. Thank you. Thank you so much for your sharing. I'll want to hear about some of that. So we're gonna go to, next slide with, the definitions here. So I guess part of what Thomas Berry asked for is a new Ecozoic era dictionary. And in my book right now, I think so far, I think I have like 25 to 30 different definitions that transcend and include some of the other terms. These are already used somewhere, but I just wanted to give a definition that just to bring it out at the end here to in case I guess I pretty much already said that.
Recording in
I'll just read, universe community beings is the overall community of beings, all of each being and subject. Once again, I differ from science. And some people say it's semantics. It's not to me, it's not to Thomas Berry. If you see the beginning slide, Thomas Berry said, we're a communion of subjects, not a collection of objects. And I do not use the terms thing or object, because all beings to me are beings and subjects. And you might say semantic, that's fine with me. But that, I need to be clear on that. So all each being and subject that was generated and birthed forth by the universe, as the primary glory forth. I put Big Bang in there, Brian, but from this, I put it second. Smallest particle, largest. Earth community beings, all in each being and subject to Earth's core, to Earth's stratosphere that was generated and birthed forth by universe, Milky Way, solar system, sun and Earth. See, I put these in here because those are the new days of the week. So you get a little flavor of the calendar. Okay, and then human community beings, all in each being and subject to the genus Homo over the last up to 7 million years, the entire 1.8 billion human community on Earth in 2025 CE. And individual human being, each unique differentiated subject being of the various homogeneous species and subspecies over the last up to 7 million years. Some people might disagree with some of that, but in general, that's what I'm trying to get across. So, that's one thing when I'm talking about the universe integralist process. I need to know, and you would need to know these four, and how awesome they are, and that we are part of the human community of beings. I mean, the universe community of beings. And that every being is part of the universe community of beings. And then there's a more of a great equalizer. It's not a term I use, it's a great equalizer. Trying to get rid of differences and say we have so much more in common than we have that separates us through science. In some aspects. Okay, so that's the last part of that. And then I want to go into gifting you a calendar. This will be the last section I have before lunch. So if John or Elizabeth could pass, they're in that basket back there. So this is the eighth version, and there's just one thing that I want to, or two things I want to really focus on. Got the first page here, got a little picture of Thomas Berry there, which I usually do each year. And if you're not familiar with the calendar project, the Universe Story Calendar, you can go universestorycalendar.org, spelled out. You can get a copy of this. It's available on the website, as well as if you go to the second to the last page, you can see all of the, and I think we have them here. Here didn't set them up, but I have former copies of the 8 Universe Story calendars. And then Brian wrote the foreword to my first book, the Universe Story Calendar, and that's available for free on the website. I really recommend this because it's kind of a dense, tough project to comprehend in some ways. So it really helps to have the total explanation of why I did it in the book. So Yeah, so you can take more time later, and just, but I wanted to focus on what I call the Universe Story Calendar Principle. And that is, if you look at the front cover, right here, this is the Universe Story Principle. And it's kind of taken from Ken Wilber's of the integral things. The transcending, including, and accurately updating. That is the Universe Story Calendar Principle. Of whatever you want to apply it to. But here it's of the former Roman Gregorian calendar of 1582 to 2017. See, I stop it there because I have to, because this was promulgated in 2017. Now, some people say that's ridiculous. It's never going to overtake the Roman Gregorian calendar. That's not the idea. The idea is to teach the universe story through a different medium, through an educational process. I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. And so this is my way of helping. I was just talking with Elizabeth, but she teaches young people about the universe story. I said, have you tried the calendar yet? So, because if you look at the first page, the November 2024, our month, you can see how you're listed right there, the Flurry 4th celebration on the 9th. We're here, we're celebrating that. And so if you look at the top where it says, you know, the days of the week, that's what I mean. On the very far left there is TUSC, Universe Story Calendar, TGC, the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so that is the example of transcending something, but still including it, and then accurately updating it with the new science of the universe story. Does that make sense? So that's the principle. The other great principle is the Brian and Thomas's cosmogenetic principle of uniqueness and differentiation, along with deep interior subjectivity of each universe community, and then common union, interrelated kinship with each universe community. So Pierre and I gift you this gift, and if you want another one, you know, we're a donation run. We're not even a 501c3 or anything, because we want to stay out of that. But if you want to make a donation, there's a box over there. But if not, don't worry about it. Because what I like to do is give 2 calendars. You keep one, and then you give it to the other one to somebody else that you think might be interested in the project. So.
Is the PDF available online? Yeah.
Yes, the PDF. Oh, here, where's? It's right there. So here it is. Yeah, okay. So go for it. You want it here? You want it there?
Well, if you go online, you print at 8.5 by 14. If you have a color printer, even if you don't have a color printer, you will have the same thing. So that's quick.
Okay, so that's a lot of information, everybody. Thank you for staying with me. I have a closing song to bring us into lunch. And how many of you know the work of the songwriting work of Jim Conlon, who was the Sophia Center director when I was there for 20 years after Matthew Fox. We called Peter Mayer the musician of the universe story movement. How many people know Peter Mayer's work? Oh gosh, you gotta listen to him. It's all about the universe story. I sing a lot of his music because it's so powerful. I write some of my own stuff, but this is a song that Peter Mayer wrote, and it really ties in with the human community being and the individual human being that we celebrate today. It's called Human You. In all the thousand years that have gone by, days that have passed, and of all the countless events that have happened, like the first star to turn on a light in the sky, or the sun being born, or the earth being formed, or the first twitch of life in the depths of the sea, or the very first flower to brighten the world, or the very first he and the very first she. There was no one to see this and say, oh my gosh, no one to weep and to laugh, and now only one can uncover the story, search for the clues. That is you, human you, human you. Of all made of atoms, the children of matter, the comets and the quasars, the oceans and the stones, and the billions of creatures who walked through the planet and floated and flown. There was never among them a poser of questions, a painter of sunsets, a keeper of dreams, who could measure the days and the nights in their passing, and seek understanding and ask what life means. It's as if the whole world were a song that has finally found ears. As if the whole world for 4 billion years has been lying unconscious and is now coming to in you, human you, human you. So in all of your hurries, your preoccupied worries of where your next meal, your next paycheck will come, in your hopes and ambitions, your quest for possessions, your search for self-worth and for sex and for love, just remember that there is a deeper dimension, a wider communion of which you're a part. There's a whole universe that's evolving, unfolding, and you are universe's consciousness. You are universe's heart. Human, you are a mountain that now has just opened their eyes. You're the wandering earth, you're the awakening sky, you're a galaxy laughing and whistling a tune. That is you, human you, human you. So Pierre, are we ready for lunch?
Maybe tell the people
Yeah,
online
right.
too.
Folks online, we're going to go for lunch for 45 minutes. We'll be back at 12:45 Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for being with us. All right, everybody, thank you. Yeah. Okay, everybody, please gather in the center area here. We're fortunate to have a professional facilitator of Interplay with us, John Diller. He's also been Mr. Zoom and Mr. IT. So we thank John for being here.
Yeah, Elizabeth and I are the non-technical people trying to run the tech. Very good to have those of you online. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to unmute your cameras, those of you online, we'll put you up here in a moment. But that would be a way for us to know you're there and to participate, so that you'll see us and we'll see you. There are a couple cameras. This one is pointing mostly forward, but this other one is pointing to us. So they'll have some views of us anyway. And so Interplay is an embodied set of forms and a practice that, for me, it's the way that I experience the world, right? Through my body. My brain is part of my body. My ears are part of my body. All of this, it's also the way that I'm part of the universe. And so I'm going to lead us through just a few steps and talk it through. It's very easy. If at any time you want to sit down or witness or whatever works for you, there's lots of invitations for that. We'll start with just a short sort of grounding warm up and then just a couple exercises in the next little bit. So start with just taking a breath. And maybe again with a louder sigh. And shake out an arm. And shake out a leg. Oops, the other arm and a leg. And another leg and an arm and your whole self. And down into your spot. just feel yourself here for a moment. And Elizabeth, you could turn on the music and then switch to the camera view or the, yeah. So just maybe. Opening backwards in a second direction. Forward in a third. And put your feet about shoulder width apart and make big hip circles. The other way. And any which way. One little hip dance. And then bringing your awareness into your feet, threading through your feet, and thread around the room. Continue through the break and the music. And find a still place. And a little sway. A little swing and sway. We're going to move through what Interplay calls the 4 movement patterns, with like the primary colors of movement. Let the swing, let that swing you maybe off your spot. Around the room a little bit. As we go around, you might think about the different scales we're at, from the smallest quantum particles to the atoms to the molecules.
Like that's something.
Our connection with all of that, ground and air and light, the whole world. Beyond the world and out. And out, and out, and out. And a little bit of flinging out. You might make it small or big or very. finding your way to stillness. Take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Thank you so much. We'll do one more short thing, but I wanted to share a little bit, just my own sense of practice around embodiment. Includes that, especially in times of great peril and great promise, or maybe sometimes it feels like more one than the other. Coming back to body is a way that I come back to my connection to the much wider universe. I sometimes think of Brian's thing of catching the light of the universe right here, right in our palms and all the time. And also that we're stuff of the stars, right? We're made of the universe stuff.
His hat, part of the screen is reflecting his hat, and it's saying chaos.
No,
And that's like, that's it, right?
It's on his head.
It's on his head.
Here's to a little chaos.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe even a lot of chaos. But that emerging, that sense of emerging. And also in just seeing what comes. There's another thing I think about. I know growing up, I always thought of time as a timeline, right? Where there's a future and a past and a present. And as I've come into another understanding that really helps is the universe is, space and time are very integrated, and the universe is expanding. Time is being created with every moment of expansion. Time is being created, space is being created, which means that everything is moving forward. Every moment is being created in this moment. And that's another thing that sometimes in movement we can get in touch with. So just drop into that sense, grounded in the earth, but also into the great universe. Just take a moment, and then I'll put on one more piece of music, and we'll do what we call in Interplay sometimes a dance on behalf of. And there are lots of things you might dance on behalf of. People who want your care and open-heartedness, yourselves, the universe, community, the smaller ecosystems. They're wide things that take a moment sort of drawing in what you might dance on behalf of. And you can hold that lightly. We don't need to do pantomime or anything like that, but we'll just move on behalf of the greater movements and the micro movements and the beings in the universe community. Just for one other song, and then that will be the ending. So thank you for indulging some interplay and doing this movement with us.
Thank you, John.
No, 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 you do it. My eyes see better from the right.
Now, it doesn't seem like the closeness with Interplay and eating did anybody any problem. That's good. We want to keep everybody awake, you know, so we thought we'll do it right after lunch. So thank you, John. Really appreciate your being all to everybody today along with Elizabeth. So great. So the last event of the day is Brian and Monica presenting their brand new book, and we are the first venue, the first event that they've been at promoting their new book. So we're very honored to have that title. And I met Brian. I took a class or two and workshop from him back at Sophia Center back in 2007. So I've known him for a few years. And then we really started working in earnest when he wrote the foreword to my book, Universe Story Calendar, and then these events these last 8 years. So I'm very glad to have Denise with us here too. And then Monica, known her for a few years, and saw them, especially Pierre and I attended the Noosphere conference at UC Berkeley that was a year ago already. Oh my gosh. So it's really exciting to have that universe story and the Noosphere just taking us by storm these last few years, bringing those together in these two beautiful authors. So without any further ado, Brian and Monica, come on up. And the camera is like, camera's right here.
There's one already.
You want the front chair?
Yep.
How about now? Can you hear now?
Great to be here. This, like Tom said, this is our first moment of letting our little book move out into the world. And the important facts about our time, especially in relationship to the vision we're trying to present with the book. One of the most important facts is that we live in a small world, even though it seems large to us. Our consciousness for most people is much reduced when compared to earlier humans. So
just to be personal for a second, right? I mean, I'm not any different than the people I'm criticizing. I remember when I was at the university teaching, and I didn't even notice this until much later, but at that time, my big aim in life was to get tenure. That's an important practical thing, but nevertheless, there's a whole vast world, and getting tenure at a university is impossibly small. And where it became really clear to me that I was living in a small, and even though I'm talking about the universe, it was still a small world, because the nature of my relationship with the different bodies of the universe was flat and one-dimensional. And I had an interesting moment when this all became very, very clear. I was giving a talk in Montana, and it was right before I began, and somebody there knew me, and they wanted me to meet this Native American elder, and so I
You pause for just a second. Is there something in there for those bags?
maybe amplified. There could be some good stuff.
Yeah.
No, so anyway, so the American, this elder said to me, "What are you going to talk about?" And I said, "I want to talk about the universe." And he said, "Have you asked the stars to give you permission to talk about them?" Like, wow. So trying to, we, meaning all of us here, are trying to participate in an evolutionary process that brings us outside of, beyond that limited form of consciousness we might call modern or industrial. Like Tom mentioned, typically, if you're going to tell the story of the universe, you'll talk about the evolution of the different forms that emerge: stars, galaxies, supernovas, but we don't tell the story of the evolution of consciousness, and that's that part of a standard textbook in astronomy and geology. Not you know why? Because we've convinced ourselves that our form of consciousness gives us complete knowledge. Gives us complete knowledge. So we've arrived at, in the past, we might be mythological or whatever, but we move from that. Now we've gotten to the way in which we see everything completely, the scientific understanding. And my whole life has been devoted to scientific understanding. Amazing things have come forth, but I think it helps as we move into talking about our book. I think it helps to realize that our form of consciousness is just one of a long series of human consciousness that is taking place. We know a little bit about, people talk about 4 major transformation moments. Some people talk about 9 major transformation moments of our consciousness. And so, but my point is, as we sink into a realization that we're in a universe that's evolving and the consciousness is evolving as well, then we can begin to have some confidence that we are actually in a process that is changing our mentality, which means changing our relationships with all things. If we can begin to feel how we're just another moment of transformation, then we can begin to see our way through the chaos and real sadness of our time. So just as a last thing, I would say, humans began, we estimate, between 6 and 7 million years ago. And the mentality of the first humans was absolutely identical to chimpanzees. Here's the amazing thing. Now just imagine there have been 9 major transformations of humanity. This is something we'll learn more about as the centuries go by. Just imagine there have been 9 major transformations. That means that our way of thinking has been evolved by ourselves. The anatomy didn't change. The physiology didn't change. We took responsibility for moving into new forms of consciousness. And so we would talk about, my favorite one is reproductive imagination. We learned how to recall specific events from our journey in a way that animals don't seem to do. And then self-consciousness and the realization of order. So one way to talk about the form of consciousness that's emerging is to call it noospheric imagination. That'd be one way. Another way is time developmental experience. Those are different phrases that they're connected in ways that we're only beginning to understand. So just as a way of launching into this discussion of a vision forward, you know, some of you are in this room, in this very room, are experts on Hegel. And Hegel had the idea that you cannot take a false turn. Isn't that right, Dr. Kelly? So we're in these crucial moments where the Homo sapiens is changing. And what we see taking place is the emergence of a planetary mind. And another way of saying it is, we're seeing the emergence of a collective human presence. A collective. And finally, it's a way of seeing humanity and as a harmonious whole. We are not there yet. We will get there. We've only been here for 200,000 years. You know, the great white shark. The great white shark's been here for several million years. Well, it had a period of experimentation early on. It found its form and it stuck with it for millions of years. We're in this last stage.
Searching, announcing the new book.
So with that, the definition of noosphere kind of, you know, a little bit sketchy. I don't get too defined because we're just moving our way into it. With that definition, let's turn to Monica and she'll articulate the major forms that we see developing over 200,000 years.
So, well, thank you, guys. I'm just like thrilled to be part of this and to be doing this with Brian and to be here, you know, celebrating Thomas Berry, who was Brian's mentor, and Brian's my mentor, and I know he's a mentor for all kinds of us here. And it's really special for him to do this, you know, and thank you for coming. So the noosphere that we're talking about is like a planetary mind. We could think in terms of the Earth being a sphere and having, you know, it is a geosphere, and then there's a biosphere where life bursts forth over, you know, over the entire surface of the planet. And then out of Africa comes one self-reflecting Homo sapiens that that is restless and feels the future pressing in somehow and spreads over the entire surface of the earth, folds back on itself, begins to absorb one another, humans, always in place. So they are still their biome with feet of clay, but they're absorbing one another, and it gives rise to what becomes a planetary mind. So this is Teilhard's idea, the noosphere. And in early discussions, we began thinking about how can we feel our way into the noosphere. I mean, Brian has his powers of the universe that so many of you are familiar with, and we recognize these powers as, living cosmically and biologically and in the human psyche, But because we're working with human energy and we're working with Ben Kisera, and we're working with chapter 10 of Teilhard's The Future of Man, who more or less describes an anatomy that the noosphere has, a physical and mind-like anatomy. And we work deeply with this, and we come up with these 8 aspects, which is a different way than the powers to feel your way into the growing, noosphere that we are now in the midst of. And so what I would like to do with this little part of our talk is to describe those 8 aspects so that maybe you can, and they are interrelated and they're all part of a whole. And they're, so they can't really be separated, but we can think of them in separate ways and draw from our experiences in ways that we can recognize the presence of this aspect in the human collective journey. So the first one of the aspects, and there's 8 of them. The first is heredity. And the universe is one prolonged developing event. The depth of the past is within all things, not above or around. We're descendants not only of our human ancestors, but also of our primal origin and the curvature of space-time. Every commitment made by the universe in the past is remembered in every animal body. I mean, it's the reason why giraffes can only be so tall. Everything is held together by these original commitments made at the universe. That Goldilocks effect that Tom, you talked about, everything is just right. It's just right to make us, all development rests on these prior commitments that now hold steady for us. We are human experience situated in the context of an evolving earth and universe. Heredity is memory. It's the chief element of identity and the fundamental ordering dynamic of the universe on all levels. Humans act like the universe, carving symbols into stone and devoting so much energy to expanding upon our biological genetic memory. Cultural objects that perdure through time become a transgenetic DNA that accumulates and allows increasingly complex multi-step algorithms to hold steady and remain present. Because of heredity, each of us is unique. Each entity experiences only a particular face of the multivalent reality that is every other entity. But this is also true. To exist and to experience the world in a way that would never be experienced if you didn't exist. Mm-hmm. Heredity can be thought of as communication through time, across time, as development rests on these prior commitments. But the second aspect of the noosphere is communication through space. This is the development that involves the sharing of information and ever-growing interconnectivity between centers of development all around the planet in the present moment. Early hominins developed the ability to communicate their experiences with one another. And then, as reflective consciousness deepened, communication systems between diverse humans all around the planet grew in speed and complexity of the transmitted information, and it formed the planetary nervous system. The third aspect is reflective consciousness, giving rise to a thinking substance above the biosphere. Reflection enabled Homo sapiens, a small offshoot from the main stem of evolution, to break free of the ordinary fanning out dynamics of diversification and to fold in on itself. Reflective consciousness made possible the exploring of alternatives, the recognition of differences and similarities, in commonalities, and the capacity to actualize new potencies, presencing more of the universe in one place. Homo sapiens absorbed one another and expanded. With an individual brain, thought emerges from a system of non-thinking nerve fibers inside our brains. But at the level of the noosphere, a collective brain, planetary intelligence emerges from the convergence of separate brains that are themselves autonomous centers of reflection. By this vast co-reflection, the whole of humanity has become a new phylum, giving rise to the planetary mind. Number 4 is the aspect of trade. Trade as an aspect of the development of the noosphere can be thought of in terms of the second law of thermodynamics and its counterpart, the cosmogenetic principle. In the second law, energy dissipates and spreads. But through trade, items that are desired spread out. And as they spread, development takes place. Potencies that were once localized can be used in new places. Trade takes place throughout the universe. Consider the sun's bestowal of energy. The sunlight spreads out in all different directions of the solar system, including the direction of Earth. And cyanobacteria learn to use the sun's light for photosynthesis. At the species level, trade becomes a face-to-face relationship and deepens into a mutual benefit. This is the predator-prey dynamic. You'll remember Brian's hawk and mouse from his Canticles to the Cosmos. The hawk may wish the mouse was slower, but that would bring about his own demise. He has eyesight in the precision of his flight because the mouse can run fast and dart about. Without one another, the hawk and the mouse would each be undeveloped. Magic happens in face-to-face tension, the essential ratchet for creative development and the cosmogenetic principle. Coming face-to-face with your enemy leads to creativity. What happened in the case of the humans was an understanding of what it meant to be equal and a tremendous advance in abstraction with symbols. Sunlight spreading through a continent-sized forest is money spreading through Europe and Asia. The relationship of a leaf with its face to the sun is the nuanced relationship between trading partners and as they learn each other's desires. With trade, we satisfy the desire of our trading partners and our own at the same time. So this is deepened even beyond the predator-prey. This leads to development of our species as a whole, because suddenly people have access to items necessary for a fuller life. It also leads to the rising tide of noogenesis, a whole new order of existence, which in Teilhard's vision offsets the outflowing of entropy from the sun's bestowal, and perhaps even some of the geological and biological destruction we see. The noosphere grows even as entropy prevails on the existing orders. Now that's kind of hard to take in. But the universe as a whole is ablaze. And we don't just stop right here. You know, we haven't stopped evolving, you know. But in some sense, the cosmogenetic activity that is happening is is happening on the noosphere. And it's using what is held steady prior to this time with the sun's bestowal of energy, with even the biological, everything has its time. The time for each stage of development. The next two aspects of the noosphere, numbers 5 and 6, are related structures, tools, and cerebralization. That's a tough word, but we can do it. The noosphere has an anatomy, both body-like and mind-like, generative extensions of the human. Cerebralization is the hyper mind, and tools are the hyper body. In time developmental experience, there is no separation of mind and matter, but rather only a not yetness present in all of reality. The potential for more being through connectivity. The body-like aspect of it is everything physical we built: telescopes, steel, steam engines, combustion engines, computers. Extend the human senses and the human will. Experience through a telescope extends us in time and space so that we might see more of what it is that is there, who we are, and what is giving birth to us. We don't just do things with our tools. We become through them. Our tools give rise to a shared experience, to a growing habitat of habits that complexifies. We're not separate from this movement. It brings forth who we are. The tool matrix is an extension of the human body without the human body having to depend upon its biology to evolve elaborate extensions. A human hand can hold a spear, so it doesn't have to evolve a claw. It can also type on a keyboard. So each human body is the whole extended network of the noosphere's tool matrix. All human creation is part of the hyper body, where we each amplify in our unique extended body certain areas. We draw upon our own fascinations within the extended hyper body, whatever tools we use, and we differentiate. Cerebralization is the extended hypermind, where thought is externalized in symbols, law codes, cultural conventions that endure, accumulate, and evolve through time. The noospheric cerebrum is exterior to our biological genetics, but just as real. No chromosome could possibly hold the vast array of human knowledge. To appreciate the organic necessity of the cerebrum of the noosphere, we have only to imagine how a newborn, torn from its matrix of human traditions, would never develop into a full human being. The cerebrum of the noosphere is humanity's collective, reflective mind that provides an evolving structure for thinking and experiencing. Every thought we have arises within its constraints. It also is where the unique creative potential of every one of us is awakened. 7 is the aspect of population. The future presses into the present and provides the ultimate meaning of the present. Water. I mean, who could have known the meaning of hydrogen, before water, One time for the creation of galaxies, one time for the emergence of life on planet Earth, our time for the noosphere. The time developing universe is irreversible on all levels. Structures of complexity are established, enabling new eras of development. New orders of complexity bring about a hardening, a holding steady, a release of pressure, where suddenly there's the energy for something new. All that is needed is a new harness. Population is all about harnessable potencies. Tension between parts is how the intention of the whole is achieved. To be in tension is to make possible the expression of the intention of the whole. Time creates one tension after another. The universe communicates its intention by flooding us with zest for developments that involve great promise and robbing us of the energy for projects that are now maladaptive. If we don't pay attention to these feelings, there's no way the mysterious intentions of the universe can get to us. The eighth and final aspect is convergence. The dispersal of humans around the spherical earth folded humanity back on itself, resulting in something like a new phylum where evolution acts in the shared extended anatomy and the reflective awareness of humanity as a single species. The universe is experiencing itself as a communion event in human consciousness. Thank you. Now,
Wow. But, that is. I know I participated in the development of those ideas, but I don't think I could hold them all in my mind like that.
That's why I have a piece of paper. I can think and feel at the same time.
And my little talk right now is on paper, actually. So paper, just to give a feeling for some of the ideas that Monica has just presented in a very condensed form. So, we each of us chose one chapter to talk about. So I chose paper, and it's in, so the 8 aspects are all developing. It's not a monotonic function. It kind of wavers, but over time, there's advance in all 8 of these. That might be the best thing I have to say today. We're just confronted by so much sadness and destruction. It's so easy to be engulfed, and it's real stuff, right? But it is also amazing when you think about these aspects. They have, even in the midst of warfare and drought and world wars, they've increased. And which speaks to what Taylor would call the inevitability of the emergence of the Noosphere. There's something so profound and moving through us that it will not be denied. We can step sideways, we can step backwards sometimes, but overall, this is what's happening. So paper, the universe, just to give you a sense of it, the universe is developing. Now that very notion is a shock in the Western world, because we thought the universe was just there, right? The planets were circling around, and then just things were there. But we discovered everything is developing. Everything began in a simple form, complexified. So a way to summarize that is the universe is constantly an upwelling of new possibilities. It's a constant flow from some mysterious realm, but it's a flow of possibilities that call for us. They call for our energy, call for our commitment. I mean, why wouldn't, like for instance, unicellular organisms lived on Earth for about 2 billion years. So in other words, if you were there, you couldn't see any of them, right? They're unicellular. And if you do that for 2 billion years, you might get the idea that, okay, we're home, right? This is it. It's unicellular from now on. But no, we went beyond that into multicellular plants and animals. And so they're with a human collective coming together, like Monica was talking about population. If you have a collective, you've got a lot of different minds all thinking about the same thing. There's simply no way a hunter-gatherer band could compete with that. The mentality that is developed by a million humans with a single focus is beyond what any one of our brains can handle. So it's this population and being in touch with people was a way in which many new possibilities were actualized. But here's another one. Being in touch with the past, including your own past. So human consciousness, we have like these ideas, you take a bath, you shave, you do something, whatever it is, ride a bike, go swimming, meditate, and we get these flashes. We don't know where they come from, right? It's like, where do dreams come from? Where are these insights? We do know that we're flooded with insights. And what usually happens to them? They evaporate. You know, I have the coolest ideas. I go, oh my God, that's fantastic. I love it. I can't wait to tell my students, you know. But I'm in bed, it's 3 in the morning, you know, I go, oh, I'm gonna sleep a little bit more. And I wake up and I haven't got the slightest idea. It's unbelievable how we can forget like really important things and experiences. It blows my mind. Paper comes along and you can jot it down. So suddenly you can harvest all this flow of insights. You can bring them together. You see, before we had paper, you had vellum. You know, you had to go hire a monk, and like in 3 months, you can copy down some ideas. You know, it was nothing like what happened with paper. Leonardo da Vinci, you know, all that brilliant painting, we love him so much. He didn't care about that. What he cared about were his notebooks, all these little drawings he made. That's what he regarded as his principal work. So,
and that's a chapter in this book. The magnificent power of paper.
yeah, so I pretty well covered what's it said.
No, you didn't. I just, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you didn't interrupt. I just realized I'm at the end. The last line was the explosion of creativity in all fields is the Italian Renaissance. It's in architecture, it's in music, it's in philosophy, it's in poetry, sculpture, just like, oh. And one way to think about it is that had to do with the power of a tool, cheap paper, to allow ourselves to move into a deeper communion with ourselves.
And with the future. For generation.
Thomas Spiritbringer.
And with the past, you know, we experience the past, you know, from unfreezing something, you know, if you think it like in terms of Whitehead or something, you know, unfreezing and compressing it again, bringing it forward into this moment, but this, which is all about presencing more potencies in one place. And why differentiation? Because each of us is fascinated and zestful, KR zest, about something different, but it's all available. There's so much of them.
You know, a lot of the chapters, we're trying to gather together, you know, insights from many, many people. But in this other one, we think we came up with something that's really not original, because I'm sure other people thought it, but we don't know who they were. They did. I think this actually, we're sort of hoping this would be the chapter that people would really love, you know. And the one you and I agreed on, that you would read.
Oh, I thought you just had a new insight.
No, same old stuff. But no, I mean, seriously, this is this group is special.
In conversation with him, he says it's dangerous, but you can't do it. Just trust me.
I think watch. I think you're going to feel the originality of this. Okay, here's my introduction to it.
Okay.
Right, here's my introduction to it. If you go on the internet and you type in, wealth, how do I increase my wealth? How do I value my wealth and so forth? At least when I did it, like 99 out of 100, right, of those websites equated money with wealth. And we're distinguishing the two from a cosmological perspective. At least I think we will if you'll ever start.
Okay, well, before I start. But I was gonna read this chapter, and like each one of these chapters.
3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Each one of these chapters is like an experience, and we try to find ways of deepening it into something universe, something geologic, something biologic, and something about this, so that we can feel ourselves in this deep sweeping flow of time development universe, which is hard to feel. It's going to require something like time development of consciousness. Okay, so it's classical trade, money and wealth. Money, invented during the classical period of humanity, drove a new era of human evolution. Money was such a powerful force, we are only now beginning to realize money and wealth are two entirely different realities. In order to understand how they are related, we consider one of the first appearances of money, which occurred in the 3rd century BCE in China. Emperor Qin Shi Huang had a problem. Tribes from the north were attacking his cities. He had able warriors ready to fight, but the horses in his empire did not have the strength to support the weight of armored men. The horses had a weak bone structure due to a lack of selenium in the soil. Tribes to the west had mastered the challenge of rearing powerful horses. So the emperor set up a trading relationship with them. For this to work, roads and ox carts had to be built. Military protection and food supplies had to be arranged. Language facility with the various dialects had to be achieved. In the midst of all these complications, the emperor envisioned the concept of money. In China's case, it was copper coins. With this new means of exchange, myriad products along the entire trade route could be converted first to coins and then to whatever product was desired. By its ability to transform any human product into any other human product, money enabled trade to soar. An entirely unexpected capacity of money changed the course of history. In order to understand this feature, we turn to the universe as a whole. The universe proceeds by storing vast amounts of energy in forms that can be used for creative action. For instance, as the universe expands, it transforms heat into gravitational energy. Imagine the small volume of the primordial fireball as it expands to a sphere, trillions of miles in diameter. The sphere is cooler than the primordial plasma, but the atoms now possess enough gravitational energy to contract violently and create stars. The same phenomena happens in the light world. With the invention of photosynthesis, photons of sunlight can be captured by the chlorophylls and stored as energy. In this way, the tiny puffs of energy from individual photons are accumulated and at a later time transformed into a cheetah running 60 miles an hour. In the case of early China, Qin Shi Huang amassed a huge amount of copper coins, enough to construct the Great Wall of China. It is money's energy storing capacity that enables so much to happen. It empowered humans to build cathedrals and skyscrapers, structures more colossal than anything hitherto created in 3 billion years of biological life. No wonder humans became mesmerized by money. But humans do not exist to accumulate money. We exist to build wealth. In our example of ancient China, money consisted of copper coins made by the emperor. The copper coins were not wealth. Wealth consisted of the land, the transportation systems, the skill to create ceramics and skilled clothing, silk clothing, the efficiency of monetary exchange, the communication systems, the keeping of records, the protection of trade routes, and the wisdom for rearing strong horses. Wealth consisted of this entire system. Money is a way of storing the energy of human creativity, whereas wealth is the capacity to activate human creativity. Building wealthy systems is our primary aim and ultimate meaning. When we build wealth, we're building the Noosphere.
That does it. Well, one last thing, because I know a number of you are interested in this line of thinking, I brought these ecozoic readers. They contain essays from people reflecting on cosmogenesis, including our very own Dr. Kelly, you know, and soon to be Dr. Long soon. You know, this is something that interests you, then please take it with you and enjoy.
All right, we're coming to the end of our time. I'd like to ask all of us to get into a circle for our closing. Up here with Monica. Thank everyone for coming today, and especially like to, first of all, thank our team. My team could have done it without them. John Diller and Elizabeth here. But thought we could end by, first of all, this is the Universe Story Movement community, the Noosphere community here. And I know where a lot of you are going out and spreading the good news of the Universe Story book. So I thought we could just, as we end, we could just go around and just, if you have something like, say, like a real quick note of gratitude for something today or anything else, and then we'll finish with a little rare earth with I just want to celebrate.
Or a devastating criticism. They're open to all.
Are we doing that now?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
Popcorn.
we look at, often we go through life seeing problems, and as if problems are static and it's like, so the problem is simply something that has been solved. Otherwise, it would be a problem, right? So that's, I think, what I've taken out of this is to have that kind of more transcendent thinking, to see things simply as, you know, we're in flux, and you know, it is up to us to create those solutions, and in a way that we want them to be.
Yeah. that moments like this today remind us of kind of staying the course, of never losing the touch with the umbilical cord to the universe. You know what I mean?
How powerful that is the noosphere is inevitable. In spite of all of these things that we would think that it would slow, that would cause it to stop or reverse course or combust or not keep becoming, but it does. And it's like that unstoppability, like unstoppable. What I'm bringing. Yeah, yeah.
Inherited was destined to become as a much a part of humanity with depth perception. In a big, you know, that we would see this way.
After the reading that we just had, the thing that stayed with me the most is just this thought about like the universal laws that govern the nature of the universe and how everything is within the constraints of the universal laws. I don't remember what you call them, but and just the idea of the future and how, you know, like really what is the future that's beckoning us, that guides us, and to what degree is it always embedded within us and within the constraints of those universal laws and whatever shape the universe is within in some multidimensional way. So that's something I'm contemplating. I'm grateful for today. Thank you.
I feel a strong sense of possibility and expansion, you know, the inspiration of that. And at the same time, I feel a sense of convergence, like the convergence of so many key points in my life leading up to now and converging in now. And it almost seems paradoxical to have expansion and convergence happening at once.
Yeah, I was struck by something again, just about here, this moment of all the things, all the choices, all the possibilities, and it happens to be this. And so I get, and that leading to sort of, you know, a larger perspective and expanding out of that. So I guess that is the same thing as convergence expansion.
I love this idea that, well, it's not an idea, that our individual melodies of experience, and we each are and have, on one hand, together they form, well, chorus, multi-layered chorus, but something that occurred to me today in particular is how each of our melodies, in fact, enriches the universe. Each of our ways of experiencing enriches the universe. And I mean, somehow this does something for me, this story, because we are the recipient of the universe at the same time, but our expression of it is also an enriching of the universe.
Yeah.
Agreed upon.
I was excited about the notion that when you have a lot of people's minds thinking together, some very exciting things happen. That's fun.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, what led to the publication of Universe Story and having enjoyed Brian's book about his cosmogenesis book and knowing a little bit of that story, it's the audacity of that project is really something. And I often think about that with Tom's The Universe Story Calendar project, the audacity of that project. I mean, sure, it took a while for the Gregorian calendar to catch on. But like to be at the beginning of that process is really something, right? But I'm touched at this moment also by the audacity of any human being's life as a project. and that the connections with that between humans as quite audacious project. And so that's something I'm feeling especially is, you know, in a small gathering, but in a gigantic universe-sized gathering as well.
All things being equal. Thrice happy. We'll go back to the 17th century. Thrice happy is he or she who transcends, who hides and transcends pomp and power. Thank you, Brian.
With that, let's sing together. I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate another day of living. I just want to celebrate another day of life.